United Nations highest court gave the final word Thursday on a maritime dispute that has pitted Nicaragua against Colombia for more than 20 years.
The court has concluded that under customary international law, a state's entitlement to a continental shelf beyond 200 nautical miles from the baselines from which the breadth of its territorial sea is measured may not extend within 200 nautical miles from the baselines of another state.
The ruling dismissed Nicaragua's bid to gain economic rights over an area of the Caribbean Sea that has long been under the sovereignty of Colombia. Nicaragua had claimed its seabed extended past the customary limit of 200 nautical miles or 370 kilometers. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro said the ruling was a great victory for his country and hoped it was the end of the border dispute, a sentiment echoed by Colombia's foreign minister.
This ruling settles the matter in the courts for good. It's a victory that favors every country and is based on common sense. It also implies the protection of the environment of the Seaflower Biosphere Reserve and of the oceanic biodiversity of our country.
Since the early 20th century, Nicaragua and Colombia have disputed ownership of the fish and oil-rich waters of this part of the Caribbean, and Nicaragua has repeatedly sued since 2001. In 2012, the Central American country gained fishing rights over a portion of the region, but Colombia's navy has continued to patrol its waters. The archipelago of the San Andres and Providencia Island is physically much closer to Nicaragua's coast, but has been part of Colombia for a century. The leader of Nicaragua's delegation said his country will closely study the ruling, but will comply with it.
Obviously, it's a very complicated issue. We have to study the judgment. We have to study also on the ground what it implies, because it has consequences in a very large and complicated area. So that has to be studied. But in principle, obviously, whatever the court said, Nicaragua will comply with it, as it has always done.
The ruling was received with relief by the residents of the San Andres and Providencia Island that have long feared that a decision in favor of Nicaragua would have disrupted their economic activities. And many observers also hope it will help to diffuse the long-lived tensions between Colombia and Nicaragua over this precious part of sea. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogota.